The longer you watch Steven Seagal, the more you realize his entire existence is based around the fact that someone, somewhere down the timeline, fell for the hype he was constructing around himself. To understand how someone could believe a lumbering, self-important human walrus was the next dimension in action film star, you have to understand the period of history that saw his rise to fame. This was right at the height of the golden age of action movies, when Schwarzenegger and Stallone were still on top, when the world was willing to believe that sheer physique can equal ultimate badass. This was a time in the world when Black Belt magazine ran articles hyping the fake techniques and faker stories of self-evident idiot charlatans like George Dillman and Frank Dukes, while questioning the legitimacy of MMA as a real fighting style. This was also the late 80s and early 90s in America, and, well, frankly, this was a time when common sense and critical thinking took a backseat to being wowed by people who weren't really all that impressive, but were willing to claim they were and be an aggro dick about it. Steven Seagal is a marginal human being, functionally what it would look like if serial police impersonator Jeremy DeWitt was about 80 pounds overweight and willing to throw hands, as long as the person he's throwing them at is significantly smaller than him and not actually a threat. Like Jeremy DeWitt, he's also a sexual predator, who uses his projected stature and status as a means to facilitate his assaults. He's basically some gross shit you'd use a curb to scrape off the bottom of your shoe, if the shit could clumsily ambulate itself around when necessary, and was capable of speaking what like a white moron thinks a jazz man stereotype sounds like.
What's wrong with you, man? You're slipping. But you can't check your six.
So why am I talking about him at all? Because fuck him, that's why. After all he's done, after all the effort he's put into a career of rampant self-aggrandizement, the overwhelming body of work he's left behind him in the film genre amounts to about 200 filmed hours of watching a perennially out-of-shape action star trying to suck his own dick and fail. His attempts to hitch himself to brighter and more mobile stars all failed miserably, as his presence is overpoweringly and devastatingly awful funny, a functional answer to the question, how much human shit can you add to a stew before it stops being food and starts being a biohazard? How many Steven Seagals do you need in a piece of filmed media before it ceases being a movie and starts being a joke? Just one. Same as we ever needed.
Money now and a lot more when I get in that office. I can take that to the bank.
I'm gonna take you to the bank, Senator Trent. To the blood bank.
The movies he's in now can't be described as anything other than an ongoing series of scams, an attempt to sell an old collapsed house as premium real estate, or at least use his name to draw eyes to a product that wouldn't otherwise have any interest whatsoever. This is a common enough tactic in bad movie making, and he's not the only one to see a payday from it. But it's this ocean of fast-tracked and slapdash mediocrity that covers the seafloor foundation of his career, stuff that has basically been subsumed into the darkness of obscurity. It's the sort of thing that might give people cause to think, hey, I wonder if his early stuff was actually good. The answer is no. The longer answer is, Under Siege is good, because the presence of a higher quality of fucking nuts manages to successfully cut his overpowering flavor of ass. But otherwise, no. Y'all want proof? Here's Out for Justice, a film that exists, and you can watch.
Benny! How you doing, buddy? I want to talk to your brother now.
He's gonna want to talk to you, his self scumbag.
What are you doing? You don't want to do that, Benny!
Ow! Ow! You tell your brother I'm gonna cut off his head and kiss down his throat. Fuck you! Hey.
I'll do him whole heat and preach non-violence. He about to start speech, come on, silence.
This movie opens with a quote from Arthur Miller about the nature of how cities have cities within them, and the potential for multiple cultures to bloom within one and sometimes clash. This movie tries to have something to do with this quote. It does not succeed at it very well. Anyway, now Steven Seagal's gonna beat up a pimp.
Come on. Predictable. Too easy. I invoke the power of the glacial blade. Double Rebuken! I stay my hounds. Ways your brat.
Welcome to the formula of Steven Seagal. We witness jaded badass regard the world with his boiling disdain. getting a big ol' eyeful of his personal perspective of what the world looks like and what his view of justice is. Immediate, authoritarian, and fatally violent when disrespected. It's at this time that I'd also like to point out that Seagal himself is a known spousal abuser. He was also associated with the mob, who actually funded a few of his films and abducted him over a matter of money he was tangentially involved with. What I'm saying is, never trust anyone who frames themselves as a paragon who shines so bright as to say clean against the dirty, dirty world like this, folks. There is such a thing as virtue signaling in this world, and it's not publicly wanting queer people to be welcome in your community. It's getting a reality show to film your volunteer sheriff's department escapades while also being a tax cheat known for assaulting smaller co-stars. The plot involves the murder of narcotics detective Bobby Lupo over the fact that Bobby was having sex with the girlfriend of local crack-powered mob associate Richie Madado. Richie is not having a good day. Richie is not in a good place.
Oh no!
Richie looks like he's about to detonate.
Oh no!
There's neighborhood history between Bobby and Richie, as well as the improbably named Gino Felino, Bobby's partner, played by Seagal, who is now, by default, the man that's now gonna go kill Richie. Seriously, that's how this plays out. Bobby gets shot by Richie, who does it in broad daylight, causing the NYPD to show up and lock down the block. Call Gino, who then shows up and functionally declares himself the one and only man on a more or less official vigilante action sponsored by his fellow police. They all just go along with it. Even Jerry Orbach, who was in this fucking thing. You ever think about the things that we used to think were okay to cheer on in the movies? Like, look at this cop here. He literally walks up to give him a shoulder pat and be all, yeah, hell yeah, get his ass, murder him extrajudiciously, I love it.
Well, let me do it my way. You just give me an unmarked and a shotgun, all right?
Human beings like this man are the reason why internal affairs divisions exist. Also NWA. Also guillotine.
Screw this crap!
Crackhead attack!
I guess we can't be friends. Oh no!
We should also take a moment to point out that Gino has a wife and son in this movie, and that they're currently in the process of divorce. This isn't an important plot point, and these aren't important characters, but they do turn up in one of the movie's myriad action scenes, which is why it's important to just, make note of the one woman in this movie that's not here to be abused or murdered. Oh, there's also this puppy, which Gino rescues from traffic in a scene that reads like it was written while Seagal was concussed. Seagal names the puss Coraggio, which means, in Italian,
Courage, the Cowardly Dog Show, starring Courage.
Please take note that it's here that Seagal petitions God himself for assistance in being violent.
Please, God, let me run into this guy someday.
Because this is a Steven Seagal movie, God will oblige his most holy of creations by the end.